Okay, so I feel like it was about time that we cover some Doctor Strange on our channel because we never cover Doctor Strange. We cover stories where he appears in them, but never his own solo books. And so I said to myself, why not cover some Doctor Strange? And so I thought, why not the series that basically made him the Sorcerer Supreme of the galaxy, which is very huge to say because it's Doctor Strange going out into space. That right there means it is going to be one heck of an adventure that we are going to cover on this channel right now. And so we do pick up with Doctor Strange right now, fighting against some kind of demon or some kind of creature. Now, this creature is not going to reappear ever again in Marvel Comics. Matter of fact, this creature, it is its first appearance and last appearance ever in Marvel Comics. And so with that being said, it's just a way to show us that Doctor Strange is still one of the best sorcerers on the planet Earth. Because when he's fighting against this demon or creature, at first it does seem like this creature is about to win. But Doctor Strange, he knows that there is no way he is going to lose this battle to this demon. And so that's when he shows us that he was just waiting for the right time to get rid of this demon, which he does just like that. And so with that, once the demon is defeated, you do have him go back over to the Earth dimension, and he seals up the gateway that the demon was trying to use to get into the Earth dimension. But once he does that, you have Doctor Strange celebrate because again, he just saved the world from some kind of magic demon, magic creature, whatever. But it's him thinking, I still got it. I'm still one of the best sorcerers on the planet Earth. But then we jump forward 7 years later, where we pick up with a Doctor Strange that is basically powerless. He lost all of his magic powers. Now you're wondering, hey Fresh, how in the world did that happen? Well, let me explain. We have no idea. The book basically jumped from that earlier point where he had powers to this point where he no longer had powers. Now, of course, you do have Doctor Strange try to explain what could have possibly happened. And he says that there is a possibility that he had used all of the magic he had in his body, or the fact that he possibly used all the magic on the planet Earth. And so with them using all the magic around him, there is no more magic for him to use. But then he says, maybe, just maybe, I have finally paid up. Because when it comes to magic, it always comes with some kind of cost. And so when he used magic, the cost just kept building up and up. And so to Doctor Strange, he's saying maybe because I used magic for so many years, the cost finally caught up to me. And now I can no longer use magic. Now, it wasn't like one day he just woke up and all his powers were gone. Instead, it was a slow digress in his magic abilities. Because at first, he was at full power. As days went on, piece by piece, his magic abilities went away. And so it's him right now feeling like he's back to his original state. Somebody who does not know how to use magic and could possibly affect his life down the road. And so with this problem, the big question is, who should Doctor Strange go to hopefully figure out what is wrong with him or possibly what is wrong with the Earth if he's unable to use magic powers? And of course, he goes to see Tony Stark. Now, this right here is very interesting because if I was a sorcerer and I couldn't figure out what in the world is wrong with me or my magic abilities, I would go to other sorcerers. Not to Tony Stark, somebody who builds Iron Man suits. On top of that, Tony Stark does not believe in magic at all. To him, magic is just some kind of science that has not been learned yet or has not been fully studied yet. But either way though, you do have Tony Stark tell Doctor Strange, maybe, just maybe, the Earth magic is gone. Maybe your magic is gone. But you have to remember one thing. We are just the planet Earth. And so you did have Tony Stark remind Doctor Strange about a time where he did lose his magic abilities, but what he did was he found some different magic artifacts as a way to repower him back up again. And so with that, you have Tony Stark say, why not just go out in space? Go to different planets. Those planets also have magic powers. Maybe they have artifacts that could just power you back up again, power the Earth back up again with magic. But you have to go out into space to hopefully learn about their magic, to see if their magic will work the same on you, so that you can bring that magic back to Earth and finally be Doctor Strange all over again. And so it's Tony Stark saying, dude, just go into space. Now, you do have Doctor Strange actually take up Tony Stark's offer, which is to take a spaceship to give him the ability to space travel. Now, with that being said, once Doctor Strange has been able to learn from Tony Stark how to pilot the spaceship and where to go, you then have Doctor Strange out in space, hoping that he does find another planet that has magical artifacts, that has sorcerers, that could help him recover his lost magic. But while he's out there traveling, he does head to his first planet. Now, this planet was actually chosen by Tony Stark, and this planet is actually in the Shi'ar Empire. Now, the reason why Tony Stark had chose that planet is because Tony claims that he has went there before, and the people there are nice and should be nice enough to hopefully help out Doctor Strange. The problem is, though, as soon as Doctor Strange arrives on this new planet that's in the Shi'ar Empire, you have these guards like, okay, dude, who are you? Why are you here? What in the world do you want? And you have Doctor Strange tell the alien, hey man, do you have magic? And the guy's like, what in the world is magic? And so they throw him in a jail cell. And the reason why, because one, he is an alien, and two, this crazy man is going around asking about something called magic, and we have no idea who he is. There is a possibility that this man could be dangerous. And so with that, they lock him up. They're like, nah, man, you're gonna stay in there for a while. Now, when we jump into the second issue of this run, we actually pick up with Doctor Strange right now telling us how it has been for him ever since he has been taken prisoner on this planet. Now, he does tell us the name of this planet, and the name is called Grenda. But either way, the people of Grenda, every single day, they do some kind of experiment on him. Another way to say they do torture him every single day. But of course, they still feed him. Now, when I say they feed him, they do give him a small amount of food. And to Doctor Strange, it's just basically paste, and that is it. But either way, it's him wishing that he was back on Earth, because at least back on Earth, he had better days. He wasn't being tortured. He wasn't trapped in some prison cell on a different planet across the galaxy, across the universe. But either way, every single time they gave him some downtime, he's still trying to figure out what happened to his magic abilities. And does this world have any kind of magic artifacts that could help him restore his lost powers? Now, while Doctor Strange is in his prison cell, that is the moment someone else gets thrown into his prison. And that person is actually a girl named Kanna. Now, Kanna is going to be very important for this run, but right now, the reason why she was also thrown in jail alongside with Doctor Strange is because she is going around looking for different kinds of magical artifacts on different planets. But on this planet, that is a huge no-no, because there are a lot of restricted areas. In those areas, you do have a lot of magical artifacts. But the reason why those artifacts were kept there in those areas is because to this home world, it is mainly about science. Science is a way to improve the world. Science is a way to improve our army. But if we find some kind of artifact that doesn't fit our science, then those artifacts are too dangerous to have around in our laboratories. And so they left those artifacts in those areas. But of course, Kana here, she went to those restricted areas and tried to get a magical artifact, which of course means that she broke some laws, some very big laws. But either way though, she does tell Doctor Strange that she knows that he is from Earth. But on top of that, she wants to get out of this prison cell. And so she's hoping that there is a possibility that he is going to help her escape. Now you do have Kana and Doctor Strange being able to come up with a plan to basically escape the prison cell by tricking a guard to believe that another guard could possibly be in trouble. But in reality, it was just Tony Stark and Kana tricking that guard. But once they're able to trick that guard and get the key and escape, that is the moment we see that these two characters are working together to figure out how in the world they are going to escape this planet. On top of that, they're trying to figure out how can they get that artifact that Kana found earlier but was taken away from her when she was arrested. And so of course we do have our two characters work together, and when they do, they were able to get that artifact. Now here comes the big thing though. That artifact is actually very important because it shows Doctor Strange the same kind of magic symbols he saw on Earth was now seen on a different magical artifact found on a different planet, which means that there could be other magical artifacts out there that he has seen that he could possibly know how to use. Of course, when he tries to use this artifact that Kana found, hoping that the artifact could help them escape, he can't use it. And he's kind of like, wait, why can I not use this artifact? Am I really unable to use magic? Did I lose my connection to magic? But either way, you do have Kana tell Doctor Strange, we do not have time for you to sit here and try to learn how to use that magic artifact. We are being shot at left and right, so let's go. Here's my ship. Let's fly away now. Now, once they're able to actually get into space, they know that they are going to be followed. And so now the big question is, where can they go so that they won't be followed? But of course, that is the moment Doctor Strange remembers how to use the magical artifact that Kana found on that home world. And so what he does next is he jumps out of her spaceship. He basically says a spell with the magical artifact. And with him being able to use the artifact, that is the moment we see some kind of magical barrier go around the planet that Doctor Strange and Kana just escaped from, meaning that the people on that planet can no longer follow because now they're trapped on that planet, which of course gives Doctor Strange and Kana the ability to get away without having any more troubles down the road from this home world. Now, once you have Doctor Strange and Kana able to kind of sit down and relax, they do continue to talk to one another to learn more about each other. But of course, they do make a deal right here. And that deal is really more of Kana saying, listen, I want to travel to different planets across the universe to find different magical artifacts, to learn about them, but to also sell them for more money. On top of that, you want some magical artifacts as a way to hopefully restore your powers. And so let's work together and find many different magical artifacts across the universe to hopefully power us up, to help you out, but to also help me out. Now, back on Earth, we do see some random man right now who's chilling in his office until that is the moment he's handed some kind of envelope. And of course, on the envelope, it says Stephen Strange, aka Doctor Strange. And so when this man opens up this envelope, that is the moment he sees that Doctor Strange is using magic in space. And when he sees that, he begins to freak out. Now, when we jump into the third issue of this run, we actually pick up with Doctor Strange and Kana right now just traveling across the universe, trying to find different magical artifacts that could help her, but to also help him as well. But as they're traveling across the universe, it's kind of like, hey, these guys are like the new dynamic duo of magical artifact hunters. They're just going around and finding all these different magical artifacts, and honestly, they're not running into any kinds of problems at all until one particular planet, and that planet's name is Tarnax 2. Yes, Tarnax 2. Not Tarnax 1, Tarnax 2. But before we are able to learn what is so bad about Tarnax 2, we actually pick up with Doctor Strange and Kana out in the middle of space, where they're talking to one another about where they should go next. And of course, you do have Kana tell Doctor Strange, we should totally head over to Tarnax 2. Now, the reason why they're going to go there is because you have Kana tell Doctor Strange because she knows about another sorcerer. And this sorcerer is an uncle to one of her many ex-boyfriends. And that is why they should go over there. And of course, you do have Doctor Strange kind of like, okay, listen, if you know a sorcerer, then let's go ahead and head over to Tarnax 2. But here comes the big problem though, or why Tarnax 2 is so bad for our book. Because Tarnax 2 is a planet full of scrolls. And the reason why Doctor Strange is freaking out and the reason why it's so bad to go to Tarnax 2, a planet full of scrolls, is because Doctor Strange has been around for a very, very long time in Marvel Comics. Him and the Avengers and any other team that he has been part of has fought against the Skrulls multiple times. And the Skrulls are usually known as being a race of bad people. And they're always at war against the Kree. Now remember, this story takes place a couple years before Empire. And so with that being said, the Kree and the Skrulls are still at war. But when Doctor Strange and Kana arrive to Tarnax 2, everything seems peaceful at first. People here seem like they're not trying to get ready for another battle, another war. Like right now, they're just relaxing. But that is the moment you didn't see Doctor Strange find the sorcerer. But here comes the big problem though. The sorcerer right now has his hands on one of the Infinity Stones. Of course, he has the, drum roll please, the Time Stone. And that right there is very huge because now it's like, wait, when did the Time Stone come back? Because at this point in Marvel Comics, the stones, all of them, had disappeared from Marvel Comics. They were not around. But here comes this book and bam, the Time Stone is back just like that. And so with the Time Stone being back, is Doctor Strange wondering what in the world is going on. And that is the moment we come to find out the sorcerer who has the Time Stone is working for somebody else. And that somebody else is a Super Skrull. A Super Skrull. The one that has fought against the Fantastic Four many times over the years in Marvel Comics. Now, a Super Skrull is somebody who basically went through a scientific experiment thanks to the Skrull race to give them different abilities from different races across the universe. Now, this Super Skrull is actually the very first one. The one that fought against the Fantastic Four back in Fantastic Four number 18 back in the 1960s. Now with that being said, of course, that means that this Super Skrull has all the abilities of the Fantastic Four. But of course, when the Sorcerer tries to tell the Super Skrull about the Time Stone, this Super Skrull, he doesn't care at all. Because to him, the Time Stone is still not enough to help him restore the Skrull race. And so with that, you have Doctor Strange realize that this Skrull is actually up to something. But either way, they cannot leave the Time Stone in his possession. And so, of course, it's Doctor Strange asking Kana to help him out to get the Time Stone back away from the Super Scroll. Because if he doesn't, the Time Stone in his hand could cause more problems for the universe down the road. And so, of course, it does lead into a battle between Doctor Strange and the Super Scroll. Now, this battle is kind of cool because it's Doctor Strange having to be very creative. Even though he does have Kana's help, he still has to be very creative. And the reason why, because remember, he does not have any powers at all. And any magic he's using right now comes from different artifacts that him and Kana have found across the universe. And so right now, he must use those artifacts as a way to actually defeat the Super Scroll. Now, luckily for Doctor Strange, he does get his hands on the Time Stone. And because Doctor Strange knows how to use the Time Stone, because hey, he has been around for so long in Marvel Comics, and he has used the Time Stone in the past, that he knows how to use it as a way to actually help him defeat the Super Scroll. But once he was able to actually defeat the Super Scroll, almost said stupid scroll, the Super Scroll, you did have Doctor Strange and Kana grab the stone and leave the planet before the Super Scroll could possibly attack them or possibly kill them. Now, of course, once you have Doctor Strange and Kana back in space, traveling to a new planet, of course, Kana wants the Time Stone. Matter of fact, earlier, I forgot to mention this, Doctor Strange did promise Kana that he would hand over the Time Stone once they got it. But of course, he knows that the Time Stone is too dangerous to have in some regular person hands. And so what he does next is he uses a different magical artifact as a way to make her forget about their adventures on Tarnax 2, but also the Time Stone. And so after he uses that artifact and she comes back too, she's all like, hey, what's in that box? And he lies to her. So of course, she does not know it is the Time Stone. But of course, they do head on to their next mission. But then we jump down to Earth, where we pick up with Bats the Ghost Dog. Now, Bats the Ghost Dog has been around for a good period of time in Marvel Comics. And basically, he was a dog that was adopted by Doctor Strange. But then Loki had on accident killed Bats the Ghost Dog. But when Loki and Doctor Strange were able to kind of fix their friendship or kind of apologize to one another, Loki was able to bring Bats the Ghost Dog back as a ghost. And so he does hang out around the house with Doctor Strange. But of course, with Doctor Strange no longer being on Earth, that means Bats the Ghost Dog is watching the house by himself. But when he walks into the house, he does see that someone else is in the house. But apparently Bats the Ghost Dog knows this person and he's not alarmed. But of course, we have no idea who is this other person that's right now in the home of Doctor Strange with Bats the Ghost Dog. Now, when we jump into the 4th issue of this run, we do run into a book that basically jumps back and forth between two different settings. Of course, the past and the present. And of course, the past is telling us what led up to the present moment. And so, of course, I'm not going to sit here and jump back and forth between two settings over the next 5 minutes. Instead, I'm going to tell you what happened in these opening pages of the 4th issue. And basically what happened was you had Doctor Strange and Kana continue their space travel, hoping to find more artifacts, but hoping to also learn what happened to Doctor Strange magic. What led up to the moment that he basically lost his powers, which of course he has no idea why he lost his powers. But that is the moment you have Kana tell Doctor Strange that she got word about apparently a dwarf that's right now being held hostage on a different planet. Now, of course, when it comes to a dwarf, they have the ability to create some very powerful weapons. My prime example, Thor's hammer. And so with that, they're hoping that maybe this guy could create some very powerful magical armor, magical weapon, whatever. But either way, the dwarf she's talking about, his name is Epherin. Now, Epherin is right now being held hostage on a planet that I cannot pronounce, so please forgive me. But apparently on that planet, their leader, Roxnor, had kidnapped Epherin to make Epherin make powerful weapons, because Roxnor wants to take his army and have his army help him expand his empire across the universe. And so right now it's Doctor Strange and Kana going to that planet to really save Epherin. Now, of course, in the present moment, they were able to save him, but of course, when they try to escape, all their ways to escape gets cut off. And so it does seem like Roxnor is about to be able to take them all back in and basically make them hostages and make them as slaves and do different tasks for him to help him build his empire. Now, when it does seem like maybe they're all about to be captured, that is the moment you really see Doctor Strange bringing in something that we have not seen so far in this video. Of course, the cloak of levitation. And the cloak of levitation has always had close ties to Doctor Strange, but this is him using it as a way to help him fight against Roxnor. Now, here comes the big problem though, because if Doctor Strange did not use the cloak of levitation, him, Kana, and Epherin, they could had escaped. But of course, he went back to fight against Roxnor to get revenge for the people who are right now being held as slaves by Roxnor. But of course, Roxnor still shows that he's way more powerful than Doctor Strange, because again, Doctor Strange does not have his powers all the way back yet. But either way, with their battle getting very intense and Doctor Strange is losing, you have Kana use another magical artifact as a way to teleport Doctor Strange and Epherin away to save their lives. But of course, she was unable to teleport herself, and so she was captured by Roxnor. Now, after Doctor Strange and Epherin have been teleported away, and when they arrive to a new location, you have Epherin freak out, because to Epherin, he believes that Doctor Strange is just like Roxnor, because when Doctor Strange, Kana, and Epherin had the ability to escape and get away from Roxnor, Doctor Strange went back to fight against Roxnor, and that was the wrong move to Epherin. They should have just escaped, but to Epherin, it seems like Doctor Strange is just like Roxnor, full of rage. Now, you do have Doctor Strange try to plead to Epherin and say, no, I'm not like him. I'm somebody who was just trying to make a difference on that planet. But either way, now my friend has been captured and I need to find a way to save her. But of course, I have no magic powers. And that is the moment you have Epherin say, you don't need magic to beat them. On top of that, you have been going around gathering different kinds of artifacts that were made by other people who put magic in those artifacts. But here's your big question for you. Why haven't you made weapons of your own with magic inside of it? Instead, going around trying to find different artifacts, why not make your own kind of artifacts, your own weapons that have magic inside of it? And luckily for you, I'm a great teacher who can teach you that. But of course, we have to hurry so you can save your friend. But getting back over to Roxnor, we see right now Roxnor is forcing Kana to work on something big, work on something special. And that special something is a weapon that could technically wipe out an entire planet. And his goal, his next target is, of course, Earth. He is going to blow up the Earth next. Now, when we jump into the 5th issue of this run and the final issue we're going to cover in this video, we do pick up with Doctor Strange making his own armor, making his own weapon. It's him realizing what Ephraim said is right. Why in the world have I been traveling across the universe to find different weapons, different armors that were made by different people in the past when I can really make my own kind of weapons, my own kind of armors? And with that being said, with him having Ephraim, somebody who could literally teach him how to make all these different powerful things, is Doctor Strange about to get a huge upgrade, a really good upgrade on top of that. But either way though, that is the moment he does get a message from Kana, because Kana is trying to warn Doctor Strange about what Roxnor is about to do next, which of course is to attack the Earth. And so with Doctor Strange getting that message, that means he needs to make something powerful. He needs to make something that will fit perfectly with his skill set. And so he does make a sword. Now, of course, you do have Ephraim say, hey, you made a sword. Let's call it the Sword of Strange. But that is the moment you have Doctor Strange say, no, it is not a sword. What this is a scalpel. And this is going to help me take down Roxnor and save the Earth, but also save my friend as well. Now, really, the rest of the book, or the next few pages of this book, is really more of Doctor Strange using his new weapons, using his new creations as a way to fight against Roxnor and his army, but to also save Kana as well. And honestly, it's pretty cool. And I love his new armor suit, or his new outfit. It looks totally amazing. But either way, it's Doctor Strange just going full on, I'm about to stop everything in a matter of minutes. Because as soon as he arrives and he begins the process of using his magical weapons, his magical armors, nothing really can stop him. And that makes sense because, again, he had a great teacher, Ephraim. Ephraim taught him how to make powerful weapons, how to make powerful armor. And so he's going around just wreaking havoc left and right. And he was also able to actually stop the missile that was going to blow up the Earth. And so with that, it was an easy win for Doctor Strange and his new weapons and armor that he has made. Now, before we are able to actually wrap up this story, we actually pick up with Doctor Strange thinking about how great it is to have magic back in his grasp once again. But here comes the big problem though. He still wants to know what happened to the magic power he had back on Earth. It just disappeared just like that. And so it's him saying, I need to go back to Earth to figure out what happened to my magical powers, because honestly, I need that. It helps me fight against big threats across the universe. But of course, it's also Doctor Strange saying it's kind of weird that he does not remember almost anything that led up to that day he realized that he had lost his magical powers. But then we pick up with Bats the Ghost Dog. And remember, Bats the Ghost Dog is Doctor Strange's dog that had died but came back life as a ghost. But he stays in the home of Doctor Strange. Now remember, in the earlier chapter of this video, we saw Bats the Ghost Dog talk to somebody who apparently arrived in the home of Doctor Strange. But we have no idea who he's talking to. Well, we come to find out, it's Doctor Strange. And apparently there are 2 Doctor Strange right now in the universe running around. And the question is right now, why is there 2 of them and which one is the real one? And so with that being said, this is where we are going to end today. Okay, so getting back into our coverage over Doctor Strange, we do pick up with Doctor Strange number 6. Now, with this book right here, it does remind us what happened in our last video. Now, you have to remember that basically in our last video, we had a Doctor Strange who had no magical powers. And that right there was very huge because he had no idea why he lost his magical powers. And so thanks to Tony Stark, he was sent out into space to hopefully go to different planets to find other magic users or to find other magical artifacts that could help him get his powers back. Now, over that storyline, he did find other magical artifacts and other sorcerers, but of course, his magical powers did not come back until he met a dwarf. And the dwarf said, listen, you are a great magical user. You are a great sorcerer. But here's the thing though. You've been going out there collecting old magical artifacts. Why not make your own magical artifacts? New ones. And so basically Doctor Strange was in a forge and he made a whole brand new armor suit that's full of magic. What also came with a bunch of powerful weapons to kind of help him keep his magical powers up. And that all took place in our last video. And so we pick up with Doctor Strange getting ready to head back to Earth. Now, while he was out in space collecting different magical artifacts and meeting different sorcerers, he did meet a young lady, and that lady's name is Kana. Now, of course, with these two spending months together, and only them two spending months together, these two characters have began the process of falling in love with one another. But either way, it's Doctor Strange saying, okay, it's time for me to go back to Earth, and also I want to show you what Earth is like, and the possibility to show you how amazing Earth is with all our amazing food that we have. And so, of course, you do have Doctor Strange open up a portal to take him and Kana back down to Earth. But here comes the big problem though, because that is the moment you have Doctor Strange and Kana be confronted by the other Doctor Strange. Because remember, at the end of our last video, we learned that there were two Doctor Stranges. And of course, we only followed one of them. And the one we followed was the one who was out in space collecting different magical artifacts and meeting other magical users, while this other one was on Earth. But of course, the way the last book ended, you are left to believe that the one on Earth was the real one. The one out in space is the fake one. And so, of course, now the big question is, who is the real one? But either way, it does lead into a big battle between both Doctor Stranges. And this battle is pretty interesting because you're talking about having two Doctor Stranges fighting against each other right in the middle of New York. Now, you do have Kana actually choose a side because to her, she's kind of like, I spent a lot of time with this other Doctor Strange. And so right now, I believe he's the real one. The other one is the fake one. But it's the same thing for Bats the Ghost Dog, because when he came home, he found the other Doctor Strange. And so he believes the other one is the real one. Now, of course, this battle doesn't take that long. And the reason why, because the Doctor Strange that we followed in our last video, he tells us that if he was not the real one and the other one was the real one, he would already have lost this battle, meaning that he is a better sorcerer, because the other one was caught off guard by our Doctor Strange to show us that the one we saw at the end of our last video is, of course, the fake one. He is not the real Doctor Strange. But the question is, though, who is this other Doctor Strange? And that is the moment we kind of find out it's a young girl named Casey. And right when she reveals that she is the other Doctor Strange, the one we saw at the end of our last video, you have our Doctor Strange freak out. He's kind of like, Casey, I haven't seen you in so long. What in the world happened to you? Why are you pretending to be me? But before he's able to get any answers, Casey just disappeared just like that. Now, right after Casey leaves, that is the moment you have Doctor Strange tell us or remind us about something else in our last video, that he has forgotten a lot of things, that apparently some of his memory was lost and he has no idea why. And so with that being said, he tells us he remembers Casey, but he doesn't remember everything about her, meaning that he has no idea why in the world she is going around pretending to be him. What in the world did he do to her? And so with that, he's kind of like, I have to call in a favor because I need to know why in the world she's doing this for. Why in the world does she hate me so much? And so, of course, he said that he is going to call a close friend of his, somebody known as Bone Flayer. And I really hope I pronounced that name correctly. Now, Bone Flayer is a type of demon, and Doctor Strange and Bone Flayer, they go way back. But either way, when Doctor Strange uses a spell to summon Bone Flayer, he does not get Bone Flayer. Instead, he gets another demon, and that demon is a close friend of Bone Flayer. But when this demon appears and you have Doctor Strange as this other demon, where in the world is Bone Flayer? You have this other demon tell Doctor Strange that Bone Flayer is dead because of him, because of Doctor Strange. Now that right there is very huge because the Doctor Strange, he's kind of like, what did I do? The last time I checked, Bone Flayer was alive and well. What did I do to get him killed? And that is the moment you have this other demon tell Doctor Strange that he has some kind of orb. But inside that orb holds the memories of Doctor Strange. And because Bone Flayer took the memories out of the head of Doctor Strange and then gave it over to his best friend over here, this other demon, to hold on to just until Doctor Strange was ready to get that memory back. And this leads into a quick rundown on the origin of Casey, because when the demon does give Doctor Strange his memory back, that is the moment you have Doctor Strange tell us who is Casey, because Casey has been around for a good period of time in Marvel Comics. But either way, with this one page, we do get reminded that she was a student of Doctor Strange. That right there is very huge. But then when a bunch of kids were about to lose their soul, she gave up her soul to protect those kids. Now, there was a time she had a chance to get her soul back, but once again, she had to sacrifice her soul to save Doctor Strange. But with her sacrificing her soul to save Doctor Strange, that right there hurt him because that young girl was his student. That young girl was learning from him and he was supposed to protect her. And so with her losing her soul, it changed Doctor Strange completely. It broke him down. And so with Casey losing her soul, it broke Doctor Strange down. And so he crossed over different realms hoping to find her soul, to give her soul back to her. And of course, he was with Bone Flayer. But those two guys ran into a very powerful being. But here's the problem though. Because Doctor Strange was so broken and so upset that his own student gave up their life to save his life, he was not focusing like he should when he ran into a very powerful being. And so you have Bone Flayer say, listen, Casey's loss is hunting you, is hurting you. And so with that being said, let me take her out of your mind. Because if I do that right there, you'll forget her and you'll be able to focus and beat this powerful being. And so you had Doctor Strange agree to do it. He gave up all his memories of Casey and some other things as well over to Bone Flayer to beat that demon. And of course, it did work. But here comes the big problem though. That demon wasn't defeated completely. The demon just ran away. But while you had Doctor Strange looking away, Bone Flayer was stabbed in the back by, of course, that powerful demon that was whooping Doctor Strange's butt. But of course, with Bone Flayer's death, he lost the memory of Doctor Strange. And so that is how the memories of Doctor Strange was lost, but given over to this other demon. And so now that explains why in the world Doctor Strange forgot everything about Casey. And so you have Doctor Strange basically tell us why he thinks Casey is acting like this, why she's going out there attacking people. Because to her, she feels like Doctor Strange basically abandoned her because he never came back, because he forgot about her. Now, she has no idea that he had forgotten about her, but to her, it feels like he just gave up and did not try to find her. And so that's why she's going crazy. And so you have Doctor Strange say that he is going to go out there and find her to hopefully stop her. But at the same time, he wants Kana and Bats the Ghost Dog to go find the demon that was holding onto the soul of Casey, to hopefully find a way to release her soul from that demon to finally bring her back. But we have to jump over to Casey, because Casey is still going around pretending to be Doctor Strange. And we see her meeting up with Damien Hellstorm. Now, Damien Hellstorm is a very interesting character, but he only appears in this one page, and that is it. But basically, he is a very powerful sorcerer slash demon, and he is the son of the Satan. Now, with that being said though, you actually have Casey attack Damien Hellstorm to get a very powerful weapon. And that's her goal right now, to go around collect a lot of powerful magical artifacts to hopefully use against Doctor Strange. And so with her pretending to be him, of course, she was able to trick Damien Hellstorm, get the weapon, and begin the process of getting ready to fight against Doctor Strange. Now, you do have Kana and Bats the Ghost Dog actually go over to the realm that belongs to the creature that was holding on to the soul of Casey, to figure out why in the world is he using her soul to get back to Doctor Strange, or why in the world her soul is no longer with him. But when they get to that creature's realm, they come to find out that he is dead. And that right there is huge, because Casey was just a person in training, a sorcerer in training. She's not as powerful as her teacher. And so with her soul being taken away by this creature, a creature that is really powerful, there's no way she'll be able to free herself. And so now the question is, who did free her? And how powerful is that person to take down this creature to free Casey, to use Casey as a way to get back to Doctor Strange? That right there is saying this is going to be a very interesting storyline. Now, when we jump into the 7th issue of this run, we actually pick up with Casey once again. Now, you would think that Casey being in Atlantis right now means that we are about to see Namor. And we don't. Because honestly, I'm kind of like, if you're in Atlantis and this is a Doctor Strange book, you gotta bring in Namor. Because Namor and Doctor Strange, they do go way back. Matter of fact, they were both on a team called the Defenders, the first one, not the one Marvel gave us. But either way though, you do have Casey in Atlantis right now, tricking this homeless person, because the homeless person is holding on to a very powerful magical artifact, and she's able to get that artifact away from that homeless person. But that is the moment she is confronted by Doctor Strange. Now, of course, this does lead into another battle, but not really like the first one. What I mean is, Casey knows that she's not able to go toe to toe with Doctor Strange. And so with that, what she does is she basically sets Atlantis on fire, which is very interesting to see. But of course, the flames that she had released cannot be stopped so easily. And so Doctor Strange must use all of his energy to focus on that fire, which of course will give her the chance to run away before he's able to actually capture her and to hopefully stop her for once and for all. But getting back over to Casey and Bats the Ghost Dog, you do have them right now doing some detective work, trying to figure out how in the world Casey got free from that creature, or who freed her in the first place. And so thanks to Kana having another magical artifact that gives her the ability to see what happened before they had arrived, that is the moment she sees that Casey was in a position that there was no way possible that she could have escaped. And so, of course, it means that someone had freed her. And of course, someone did. Now, for Bats, the ghost dog, he has no idea who that person was who freed her. But of course, thanks to Bats, the ghost dog, he tells us whoever it was, they do seem like a very powerful person, which could mean more problems for Doctor Strange down the road. Now, we do have Doctor Strange, Kana, and Bats the Ghost Dog regroup at the home of Doctor Strange to, of course, look over all the clues that could possibly help them figure out who in the world freed Casey. Now, you do have Doctor Strange actually call up other magical users that we have seen in Marvel Comics over the years to see if they have an idea who that person could possibly be. But of course, they have no idea either. Now, on top of that right there, you have Doctor Strange said, listen, Casey is going around collecting magical artifacts. She's building up her own armory. We need our own set of armor, our own set of weapons. And so he tells Kana and Bats the Ghost Dog that they're going to use his forge to create more magical artifacts, to create more magical weapons and armors, to protect them from Casey and her weapons. Now, this is the same forge we saw in our last video that gave Doctor Strange his powers back. And so he's hoping that Kana can basically make something very powerful to give him the edge to stop Casey and all of her weapons all at once. Now, this actually leads into the origin of Kana, because in our last video, we got just a tad bit of information about who she is and where she is from. And so with this section right here, we kind of learn more about her. And basically, she is from a world where magic is number one. And that's different because in other worlds in the Marvel universe, science is number one. Magic is like number 2, 3, 4 on the top things to use in the world. And so with her world though, magic was number 1. Science was number 2. And matter of fact, science was technically illegal. Meaning that if you are caught using science and not using magic to fix your problems or to make things in the world, you will be basically killed. And so with that being said, her mom was a great scientist. She would make things left and right, and it was amazing to Kana because she believed science and magic can work together as one. But of course, Kana's father betrayed his own wife and told their council that his wife is doing science. And so with that, he had his own wife killed, Kana's mother. And so that right there made her very angry, and she left that world to say, I will come back and show you that science and magic can come together as one to make things better for everybody. But either way, you have Doctor Strange actually leave because he says while Kana is making weapons to help them out, somebody has to be out there to slow down Casey, to keep her from hurting innocent people. And so right now, that is their game plan. Now, of course, this leads into another battle between Doctor Strange and Casey. Now, when they fight against one another, you do have Casey just going all out. She's showing her true colors, expressing her feelings, how she feels that Doctor Strange had abandoned her, had he did not come back and try to save her when her soul was lost by that creature. And so right now it's her just coming back and saying, you left me behind. The real Doctor Strange would not have left me behind, but of course you did. And so I'm trying to give the world what they need, a better Doctor Strange. Now on top of that right there, she does keep yelling the same line over and over again. You have to pay. You have to pay, because when you use magic, there is always a cost, and you have to pay for all the magic that you have used. And so it's her right now just saying over and over again, you have to pay. Now for Doctor Strange, he's kind of like, what do you mean? Listen, besides that, Who freed you? Answer both my questions. What do you mean and who freed you? Why in the world would they free you and use you against me? Like, who is behind all of this? And that is the moment you have Baron, of course, Mordo, appear right behind Doctor Strange, one of the original Doctor Strange villains. He's back once again, and he's here once again to cause a lot of problems for Doctor Strange. Now, if you have no idea who Baron Mordo is, let me explain, because he has been around for so long in Marvel Comics. I mean, he was one of the original villains of Doctor Strange, back when Doctor Strange first appeared in Marvel Comics. But basically, Baron Mordo was a character who came around and being trained under the Ancient One. Now, the Ancient One was originally the greatest sorcerer of all Marvel Comics, and Doctor Strange was being trained by the Ancient One, but Baron Mordo came first. Now, when Baron Mordo got word that the Ancient One had took in another student, and that student was Doctor Strange, Baron Mordo instantly did not like Doctor Strange. Now, Baron Mordo at that point was already going down a dark path. And matter of fact, he found out about Dormammu, a very dark being, a very powerful dark being. And so with that, you had the Ancient One kind of remove Baron Mordo. Well, really, Baron Mordo left the Ancient One. But that left room for Doctor Strange to become the Sorcerer of Supreme very quickly too. Now, of course, these two characters have fought against each other so many times in Marvel Comics, but Baron Mordo was the one who had freed Casey, and the reason why? To teach Doctor Strange a very important lesson, and that lesson, don't be careless, because when it comes to magic, there is always a cost, and so you have Baron Mordo telling Doctor Strange, this is your cost. You have been a careless man. You have been going around using magic so freely that you never thought about the cost. And look, here's your cost. Her. She lost her soul and she was waiting for you and you never came. And so I freed her and I took her rage and turned it into a weapon to basically kill you. This is your cost. Magic always comes with a cost. But then we get over to Kana and Bats the Ghost Dog, because this is going to be another problem for Doctor Strange down the road. What I mean is, while you have Kana in the forge of Doctor Strange making a very powerful weapon, well, multiple powerful weapons, as a way to give them the edge to finally stop Casey, that is the moment you have Bats the Ghost Dog mention the Time Stone. Now remember, the Time Stone did appear in our last video, and Doctor Strange and Kana were able to work together to steal the Time Stone away from the Skrulls. Now here comes the problem though. Doctor Strange felt like Kana could not be responsible enough to keep the secret about the Time Stone being back in the universe. And so he used a magical artifact as a way to make her forget. But with Bats the Ghost Dog bringing it back up, it unlocked those memories. She remembers, and now she is upset with Doctor Strange basically using a magical artifact to make her forget, and it shows her that he doesn't trust her all the way. And honestly, she was hoping he was, or he did, because she was falling in love with him. Now, getting back over to the battle between Doctor Strange and Casey, it does get very intense. And it does seem like maybe, just maybe, Casey is going to be able to actually kill off Doctor Strange. And the reason why I say that, because he's not playing a lot of offense. He's playing a lot of defense. He's trying to protect himself from her, because he knows if he used any kind of magical powers, there is a possibility he could do a lot of harm to her, to the point where he could actually kill her. And he does not want to do that. He does not want to kill her. He wants to save her. And so again, he's not playing a lot of offense. He's playing a lot of defense, trying to protect himself from her. And that right there is very huge to say. But of course, where it does seem like she'll be able to actually kill off Doctor Strange, that is the moment you have Kana appear. And Kana does appear with a couple weapons to actually help Doctor Strange fight against Casey. Now, of course, none of these weapons are actually going to be able to stop her. It's just a way for them to kind of go toe to toe with her weapons that she is using. But then you have Doctor Strange realize there is a way to save her. But of course, when he does use that spell, it's gonna leave them very open for an attack. They're gonna feel exhausted. And so you have Kana and Bats the Ghost Dog say, dude, we have no choice. We have to save her. And so what he did was he took a piece of each of their souls, because he says, listen, she has no soul right now. And so right now, she's just full of rage with no soul as a way to guide her rage. And so let's give her a piece of our souls as a way to kind of guide her rage, to bring her down. And so he does that. And actually, it does work. Now, this begins the process of the story winding down. And honestly, it winds down very quickly. What I mean is, right after Casey is able to calm down, you do have Casey being able to use her magical powers as a way to send Baron Mordo away for now. Because we know that dude will be back sooner or later. He always comes back in Marvel Comics for some crazy plan of his. But either way though, with him gone or while he was leaving, he does tell Doctor Strange that he was not the one in charge. There's someone else, someone more powerful, who is in charge of this whole operation. But with Baron Mordo gone, you do have Casey tell Doctor Strange that right now, she is going to leave to go find her soul, because she says she can feel her soul calling out for her and she needs to go find it. And so this is a way for Marvel to put both Baron Mordo and Doctor Strange, Baron Mordo and Casey on the back burner. And of course, these characters will be used again in later stories. But to wrap up this video, you have Doctor Strange, Bats the Ghost Dog, and also Kana go back to the home of Doctor Strange. Now when they get there, this is Doctor Strange thinking that everything is okay between him and Kana, because he also has feelings for Kana. He's hoping that she'll stay with him on Earth, and they can begin the process of actually forming a relationship. But that is the moment she tells him that she remembers. She remembers the time stone, and she is very upset with the idea that he did use a magical artifact to make her forget, because now she feels like he does not trust her. Even though he says, listen, the reason why I did that was to protect you, because if other people out in the universe knows that you know where the time stone is at, it could actually get you killed. And so that's why I made you forget. But this is Kana saying, no, be for real. You made me forget because you do not trust me. You don't have faith in me. And that is your biggest problem. And so she walks away. And this is Now, to begin today's story, we actually jump back 10 years ago. Now, with the story jumping back 10 years ago, we actually pick up with Doctor Strange right now buying some groceries. Now, while he's buying some groceries, you actually have Doctor Strange talking to the store owner. Now, the reason why he's talking to the store owner is because the store owner is actually very upset. He is upset about the news that he had just received. And apparently there is a new company that is trying to buy out people's homes and businesses to build a new building, a building that could bring in a lot of tourists. And so with that being said, this shop owner is very upset because this part of New York where Doctor Strange lives in is nowhere near Midtown, meaning that this is a quiet neighborhood. And he hates to see the idea of this quiet neighborhood turning into another tourist spot. And so he's very upset about it. Now, you do have Doctor Strange leave the store, but right when he does leave the store, he is confronted by a salesman, somebody who wants to buy his home. And that person is Windermere Falston. And of course, he came here to talk to Doctor Strange about buying Doctor Strange's home so that they can break it down and replace it with that new building they want to build so bad. Now, of course, you do have Doctor Strange tell this guy no, because Doctor Strange knows that his house is very important when it comes to the magical world of Marvel Comics. But this guy, he has no idea about that. And so this guy is really trying to buy the house from Doctor Strange. And so you have Doctor Strange do the right thing. Invite the guy in and show him all the different scary stuff about magic that's inside this house to basically scare this man away. And so when this guy walks in, you have Doctor Strange show him every single scary thing he could possibly do in this house to scare this man off. And this man, he freaks out and he runs out of the building, meaning that that cell that he was trying to get from Doctor Strange is totally not going to happen. Now, we do move 5 years forward, but we're still in the past. We're only 5 years in the past now. And so with that being said, we actually pick up with Doctor Strange right now talking to some people from his neighborhood. Now, while he's talking to these people, that is the moment he does receive some kind of information. Now, the information that he receives is about the company that was going around trying to buy different people's homes and businesses. They have been absorbed by another company, meaning that another company had bought out the original company that was going around trying to buy different homes from these people in this neighborhood. Now, this new company has made things even worse because now they're sending gang members to go out to different homes to scare these people to sell. And so with that being said, you have Doctor Strange and this old lady actually see some gangs leaving a house. And when they do, they see the house blow up, meaning that the gang members went to that house, tried to make the owner of that house sell. The owner said no, but when they left a bomb in there and it blew up. And so you have Doctor Strange run in there to make sure the person who owns that home is okay. Of course, he's knocked out, he's badly injured, and so you have Doctor Strange use his magical powers to keep that person alive, but now he knows whoever this new company is, they have gone too far. Now, after that moment, you do have Doctor Strange go after the owner of this new company that's out there sending thugs to scare people to sell their homes. And so when he finds the owner freaking out because the owner is looking out the window and realizing the police has arrived at his headquarters. And this is Doctor Strange saying that thanks to his magical powers, he was able to figure out where the bomb came from, who made the bomb, and all the clues led back to this guy right here, because he is the owner of this new company that is trying to get rid of everyone in the neighborhood that belongs to Doctor Strange. Now, you do have the cops arrive, and the cops cannot see Doctor Strange because right now he's in an astral form. But either way, though, you do have the owner of this new company say, listen, I'm just a henchman. Yes, I do own this company, but someone else higher than me is trying to buy your neighborhood. And that person will not stop until they get what they want. So if I was you, Doctor Strange, I will look for a new home because my boss, he will not stop until he gets what he actually wants. But now we move forward 3 years. So now we're only 2 years in the past. But with us still being in the past, now we pick up with some people from the neighborhood coming to Doctor Strange with some bad news. Because that company who has been trying to buy out all the homes that belong to the different people in this neighborhood, they're back once again. But they realize they need to get rid of one person if they're going to be able to actually buy this neighborhood. And that person they need to get rid of is, of course, Doctor Strange. And so what they did was they went to the press and told the media that there is a man named Doctor Strange who basically does magic, but his magic is demonic magic. He's basically using demon magic in this home, in this neighborhood. And so now you have other people in this neighborhood who were not close to Doctor Strange basically right now protesting to get him out of their neighborhood. And the company that wants to buy this neighborhood so bad knows if they're able to get rid of Doctor Strange, then nothing can stand in their way to get this neighborhood like they always wanted ever since the very beginning of this storyline. And so, of course, that upsets Doctor Strange. And so what he does next is he gets a lawyer and he goes meet up with the company lawyers to have a discussion about what they have done to his name in the media. Now, when it comes to Doctor Strange's lawyer, his lawyer is not your usual lawyer. It's not like he called up Matt Murdock or Jennifer Walters. No, he called up some random demon as a way to scare these regular human lawyers, because this demon, he is a lawyer, but he's a scary one. And so, of course, they're all like, okay, listen, we're in the wrong. So we'll basically call up every single news channel and tell them that we lied about everything we said about you. But then we finally reach the present day. And when we do, we actually pick up with Doctor Strange opening his front door, because apparently somebody had knocked on the door and they want to talk to Doctor Strange. Now, when he opens the door, that is the moment he is confronted by some random man. Now, this random man had apparently been the one who has been trying to buy this neighborhood. And of course, you have Doctor Strange says no once again. Now, after he said no to this guy actually turns into a demon. And that is the moment you have this demon explain everything about this story so far. And what the demon says that originally he was not the person who was trying to buy this neighborhood. Matter of fact, the guy that Doctor Strange scared away 10 years ago, he was just trying to buy this neighborhood to basically build that tourist spot. But when Doctor Strange scared him away, that guy right there actually called up this demon. And this demon was down to basically bring down Doctor Strange, because this demon hates Doctor Strange. But on top of that, you had the demon tell us that once he took over where the first guy left off at, the demon said he has been trying to buy this area because under this neighborhood is a gate, a nexus point that could unlock and release powerful demons into this world. And so that's why this demon has been trying to basically buy this neighborhood to open that gate. Now you have Doctor Strange tell this demon he had no idea about the gate at all. And matter of fact, the only reason why he has been protecting this neighborhood is because he cares for the people. That is it. This man was not living here to protect some kind of gate that could unlock powerful demons. Instead, he was only being here and staying here because he loves this area and the people in this area. And so you do have Doctor Strange basically beat this demon and the day is saved. But hold up, the story is not done just yet, because that is the moment you actually have an epilogue. Now, this epilogue is going to be very, very important, because that is the moment you have the epilogue kind of remind us about the origin of Doctor Strange, how he was trained by the Ancient One. And the Ancient One is supposed to be a very, very powerful magical being in Marvel Comics. But that is the moment you actually have the Ancient One appearing in the home of Doctor Strange. And the reason why? Because the Ancient One needs the help of Doctor Strange. And right now it seems like when it comes to the Ancient One, He's no longer as powerful as he was when he was training Doctor Strange. And so when he comes to Doctor Strange, he tells Doctor Strange, I need your help. I need you to be my master. I need you to teach me. And you have Doctor Strange like, wait a second, Ancient One, you train me. Why in the world do you need me to train you? And so when we jump into the next chapter, you actually have Doctor Strange tell the Ancient One that he does not need to beg for help. And matter of fact, the Ancient One does not need to kneel in front of Doctor Strange. Because when Doctor Strange looks at the Ancient One was the person who made Doctor Strange, because the Ancient One trained him. On top of that, he looks at the Ancient One as an old friend. Now, you do have Strange actually tell us that when it came to the Ancient One, the last time he saw the Ancient One was when the Ancient One actually was going into the astral plane. He was living there. And you have the Ancient One say, yeah, I was there and I was minding my business until I was grabbed by somebody. Now, the person that had grabbed the Ancient One is a character we actually saw in our first video covering Doctor Strange 2018 series. And what I mean is that back in the very first video we did, where we had Doctor Strange going around the universe trying to find different magical artifacts as a way to revive his magical powers, well, this guy right here got word of that, and he got very upset with the idea that Doctor Strange was doing that. And so with that being said, now he's back once again, because the last time we saw him, the only thing we saw was he was very upset and we never saw him again. But now he's back and now he's going after the Ancient One. Now this guy, we have no idea what his name is just yet, but he did bring a demon with him. And the demon that he brought with him digs in the mind of the Ancient One. And he was able to take out a certain part of the brain that belonged to the Ancient One. And that part of the brain is where the Ancient One kept all his knowledge of magic. And so right now the Ancient One has no idea how to use magic because this demon took it from him, and we still have no idea who this guy is and what he wants with Doctor Strange, and also why he took the knowledge of magic from the Ancient One. Now here comes the big problem with the Ancient One losing his knowledge of magic, because with the Ancient One losing his knowledge of magic, that means he could possibly die. And what I mean is that when it comes to the Ancient One, he's a very old man, a very old being. And so he was using magical spells to keep him alive. But now those spells are no longer around because he forgot how to use magic. He lost all the knowledge he had of magic. And so sooner or later, this man is going to die. And so you have Doctor Strange realize that and say, okay, I need to teach this man everything I know about magic as a way to keep him alive. On top of that, I can give him part of my soul to keep him alive just a tad bit longer until I'm able to get the knowledge of magic that he used to have back over to him. Now, here comes the thing though. After you have Strange do all those different things, he tells Bats, the ghost dog, that he'll be right back because he thinks he knows where to go to actually get the knowledge of magic back for the Ancient One. And so he teleports to a different dimension. Now, when you have Doctor Strange reach this other dimension, and when he gets inside there, that is the moment he comes to find out that this dimension is some kind of office dimension. And what I mean is that he sees a bunch of creatures right now just working away their day like they're in the office, just working on different projects with different clients like this actually is an office. And he's kind of like, what in the world? Where am I? What is this place? But that is the moment he does see a door. Of course, the door does lead into the boss of this area. That is the moment he comes to find out the person in charge is some kind of head accountant. And this is the same character we have been seeing the whole time in this video and also in our first video. The same person that has stole the knowledge of magic from the Ancient One. Now, with that being said, you have this head accountant tell Doctor Strange that the reason why he's coming after Doctor Strange and the Ancient One because they have a huge debt. Now, that right there is very important because if you have been watching my videos on the 2018 series of Doctor Strange, we have been hearing that over and over again, and it has been used a lot for a lot of key points in this series, meaning that when you use magic, it always comes with a cost. Magic always comes with a cost, and that cost is unknown. You never know how in the world you are going to repay that cost. And so with that being said, you have this accountant guy saying, listen, when it comes to you and the Ancient One, you guys owe a lot. And I mean a lot. And so with that being said, you need to stop and listen to me. And matter of fact, I have captured some of your friends that you are very close to. For example, Wong, also on top of that too, Kana and Zelma. They're all right here locked up because you have never paid back your costs for using magic. Your debt is so big and so huge, you cannot imagine what is possibly going to come down the road for you and your people on Earth. Now, you would think that Doctor Strange will let this guy explain what he means. But of course, Doctor Strange does not do that because as soon as the accountant had revealed that he was holding on to the friends of Doctor Strange, you had Doctor Strange begin the process of fighting back against the accountant. And so with that being said, at first, Doctor Strange can't do anything at all because the accountant is a very powerful magical user. But with that being said, though, when it comes to Doctor Strange, he did learn some martial arts. And so he's able to use his hands and feet to actually beat the accountant, get the key, and to let his friends go out of the cages that the accountant had them locked in. Now, after all of that, that is the moment you have the accountant explain everything to Doctor Strange. Explain how that when it comes to Doctor Strange using magic, magic always comes with a cost that Doctor Strange had never paid back. And so with that being said, you have the accountant explain to us that where magic comes from, because magic comes from powerful beings who has connections to different planets across the universe. And so for many years, Doctor Strange was using magic, or really borrowing magic, from powerful beings who have connections to Earth. Now, with that being said, though, he never paid back what he was owed to pay back to them. And so with that being said, he just kept using magic and kept building on his debt. Now, the accountant tells us that he was the one who cut off Doctor Strange's powers because Doctor Strange's debt was getting way too big. And with the debt getting way too big, you had the accountant say, like, listen, I had to stop you because your debt was getting too huge. There is no way you could have paid it back. And so that is why I cut off your powers, which explains why our very first video showed a Doctor Strange who had no magical powers, because the accountant was the one who had cut him off to stop him from building up on his debt. But then we saw Doctor Strange go to different planets across the universe to borrow their magical artifacts, hoping that it would revive his magical powers, which then of course kept building on the debt of Doctor Strange, because now he was borrowing magic from other powerful beings from different planets. And so his debt is so huge, it's so wild, that somebody say, listen, to make Doctor Strange pay back all the debt that he's owed, he must lose his entire planet. To pay back everything he has used over the years to basically get rid of all of his debt, the entire Earth must be taken over by a certain powerful being. And that is the moment we come to find out it is Dormammu. And this is huge because when it comes to Dormammu, he's always been trying to come into the Earth dimension. He's always been trying to take over the Earth. And matter of fact, he's Doctor Strange's #1 villain. When most fans think of Doctor Strange, they think of Dormammu, the bad guy. Now, with that being said though, Dormammu has always been trying to come into the Earth dimension. He always been trying for so many years, but he finally found a way. And the reason why I say that is because Doctor Strange owes debt to a lot of people, but Doctor Strange also owes a debt to the Flat Teens, the race that Dormammu belongs to, meaning that Doctor Strange had used magic that came from the Flat Teens. And so with Doctor Strange using magic from the Flat Teens but never paying them back, Dormammu said, nope, that is not okay. And so with that right there, I am finally going to make you pay us back by sacrificing your entire Earth. And so Dormammu found a way to finally get on Earth and hoping to finally take over the Earth. Now, you do have the friends of Doctor Strange like Hana ask Doctor Strange, hey man, listen, what can we do to stop him? We'll follow your lead, but we need your help right now. How can we stop Dormammu? And you have Doctor Strange say, we can't do anything at all because we have already lost. Now, you can basically ignore everything Doctor Strange said earlier when it came to the idea of him saying that we have already lost, because in reality, this man basically had a plan for this already. And so what he does is he teleports his allies away. He teleports them over to the accountant office to look for something very special that could possibly help them win against Dormammu and his forces. And so while his friends are looking for that certain item, that is the moment you have Doctor Strange fight against Dormammu. Now, when I say fight against Dormammu, I really mean to keep him busy, because with Dormammu being here in the Earth dimension, he is already stronger than Doctor Strange. On top of that, Doctor Strange is very tired because he went through a lot in this storyline so far. And so right now, it's kind of like he really can't do much against Dormammu. He just has to keep Dormammu busy long enough for his allies to find a certain item. And that item they're looking for is actually the knowledge of magic the Ancient One lost. Because remember, the accountant brought a demon that took that knowledge out of the mind of the Ancient One. Now, you would think that they're going to take that knowledge and give it back to the Ancient One. But in reality, they are not going to do that, because they add the knowledge of the Ancient One to their own minds. And actually, that is a good idea, because when it comes to Dormammu and his forces, they are very powerful characters. They can wipe the Earth out very quickly. And so with that being said, you don't have time to go get the Ancient One, put the knowledge back in his head, and then bring him back over here to fight against the forces of Dormammu. Instead, why don't you add the knowledge of the Ancient One to your own minds? Because now you have more bodies on deck to actually fight against the forces of Dormammu. It is actually a great plan, because while Doctor Strange is keeping Dormammu busy, Dormammu does not realize that his forces are being taken out left and right. The allies of Doctor Strange, with the knowledge of the Ancient One, are able to take down the forces of Dormammu. And Doctor Strange is keeping Dormammu busy long enough that by the time he realized, every single person he brought with him is already gone. Now, you do have our heroes all come together to actually stop Dormammu. Now, you would think that with all our heroes here together right now, fighting against Dormammu with the knowledge of the Ancient One, you would think that he would lose so easily to our heroes. But of course, this is Dormammu. He's been around for such a long time in Marvel Comics, and also the fact that this dude owns his own dimension in the Marvel universe. And so he's really powerful. He's not someone who can be beaten so easily. And so our heroes, they can try their best, but there is a possibility they could lose. As a matter of fact, they begin the process of losing because how powerful Dormammu is. And you would think that with the knowledge of the Ancient One in their minds, they had the edge over Dormammu. But of course, it does take a lot of time to process all the information that the Ancient One knew to figure out a plan to actually stop Dormammu. And so while you have our heroes about to lose to Dormammu, they are actually saved by the Ancient One. He comes in, he blasts Dormammu once, and Dormammu is gone forever. Not forever, but gone for this storyline. Now, the book really ends right there because right after that moment, you do have our heroes kind of regroup at the home of Doctor Strange. But with that happening, though, you do have our heroes all happy that they were able to get rid of Dormammu. Now, you do have most of the allies of Doctor Strange leave except one, and that one is Kana, because Kana was someone introduced to us at the very first video we did of Doctor Strange in this series. And she was introduced to us as a possible love interest to Doctor Strange. But of course, he did mess up things between them. But with her coming back here to actually help him fight against Dormammu and him showing that he'll try to be a better person, she begins to believe that there is a possibility that they could get back together and possibly have a relationship once again. But this When we jump into the first chapter of this storyline, we actually pick up with Doctor Strange right now in his house thinking about his life. Because when it comes to Doctor Strange, he has been the Sorcerer of Supreme for a very long time in Marvel Comics. But at the same time, he kind of thinks about all the different women he had dated or married over the years in Marvel Comics. Because he's kind of wishing he actually had a lady right now next to him, a wife or a girlfriend. But at the same time, he also is thinking about all the different villains and heroes that he has met over the years being Doctor Strange, because this man has gone through a lot in Marvel Comics. But of course, with this storyline, something new is going to happen that is going to make Doctor Strange kind of think outside the box. But with that being said, something is coming to Earth. Something is actually heading towards the home of Doctor Strange. And that is the moment you do have a random alien just teleport in the home of Doctor Strange. Now with this alien, he does tell Doctor Strange that his name is Zolos. And I really hope I pronounced that name correctly. But either way though, you do have Zolos tell Doctor Strange that he is in a hurry right now. And the reason why, because his planet is about to be completely wiped out. Now you do have Zolos explain to Doctor Strange what he means when he says his world is about to be wiped out. And so we do get this flashback of the home world of Zolos, where apparently Zolos found out that Galactus is on his way to wipe out their planet. Because remember, when it comes to Galactus, he basically goes around the universe eating planets as a way to survive. Now with that being said though, with Zolos and his people finding out that Galactus is on his way to eat their planet, of course they were able to catch his herald. And at that point in Marvel Comics, Galactus' herald was the Silver Surfer. And so with them being able to capture the Silver Surfer, they probe his mind to hopefully find the weakness to Galactus. But only one word just kept repeating in the mind of the Silver Surfer that kind of told Zolos and his people what could possibly beat Galactus, which of course that word was Earth. And so that is why Zolos is here, because he believes that Earth has a way to actually defeat Galactus, or has a way to keep Galactus away from Earth. And so you have Zolos ask Doctor Strange, how in the world does Earth survive a battle against Galactus? What does Earth has that could possibly stop Galactus? Now, you do have Doctor Strange tell Zolos that when it comes to him fighting against Galactus, it has never happened in Marvel Comics. I mean, there has been times Doctor Strange has seen Galactus or helped someone else defeat Galactus, but Doctor Strange has never fought against Galactus by himself. And so with that being said, you have Strange tell Zolos, listen, man, I can't help you because I have no idea actually how to stop Galactus. I'm the wrong person to ask. Now, with that being said, though, you have Zolos kind of demand Strange to tell him how in the world can he stop Galactus. Now, with Zolos kind of demanding that kind of makes Doctor Strange very angry because he's kind of like, listen, I've been nice to you ever since you popped up in my house unannounced, but your tone of your voice is making me very angry to the point I'm about to teach you a lesson of my own. And this actually does lead into a battle between Doctor Strange and Zolos. Now, this battle is actually very interesting. And the reason why, because at first you have Strange thinking that he'll be able to actually defeat Zolos, because Zolos is just one magician in his house right now. But here comes the big shocker though, because in the home world of Zolos, what they did was, as a way to prepare for Galactus to come, they combined all their different sorcerers all together into one body. And of course, that one body was Zolos, as a way to prepare themselves for the attack of Galactus, to basically have a super powerful magical being. And so with Doctor Strange fighting against Zolos, he's not fighting against just one magician, he's fighting against multiple magicians. And so with that, Strange actually loses this battle. But right after Strange loses this battle, you actually have Zolos grab different artifacts from the home of Doctor Strange. Now this is huge because those artifacts are very powerful and very dangerous at the same time. And you have Doctor Strange telling Zolos, you need to be careful because those artifacts could cause a lot of problems down the road. But for Zolos, he's kind of like, listen, it's not just one person in this body. There's more than one person. There's many people in this one body right now. And so we should be able to actually use these artifacts with no problems at all. And this begins the major problem for Doctor Strange. And what I mean is that with Zolos, what he does is he uses the artifacts that he took from the house of Doctor Strange, and he basically flies back over to his home world. And of course, his home world is being attacked by Galactus as we speak. And so right now, he has to use the artifacts as a way to defeat Galactus. Now, you would think that he would just blast Galactus away or do some kind of spell to put Galactus to sleep, but he doesn't. Instead, he removes Galactus from this plane of existence. He moves Galactus into the magical dimension, and this is huge. Now, with Galactus being teleported over to the magical dimension of the main Marvel universe, you have Doctor Strange freak out because when it comes to Galactus, he is a being of pure science. He was made to basically stay in the main dimension and just go around the universe eating planets. And that was it. But with him being taken from that plane of existence over to the magical dimension, well, that is a huge problem because you have Doctor Strange tell us that when it comes to Galactus, a being of pure science being put in an area that's all about magic, no science at all, it can lead to a huge unbalancing system across all dimensions in the main Marvel universe. But things only get worse because while you have Doctor Strange basically gearing up to go into the magical realm to bring Galactus back into the regular dimension, of course you have Doctor Strange tell us that when it comes to Galactus, he's used to going around the universe eating planets. But now with Galactus being in in that magical realm, he's going to find a new power source to feed on. And that could lead to a huge problem down the road for Doctor Strange and other heroes in the Marvel Universe. Because what happens when Galactus begins the process of actually eating magical stuff in the magical realm? Now, of course, all the worst fears that Doctor Strange just basically told us is coming to life already. Because when you have Strange actually teleport over into the realm of magic, he do see a bunch of magical creatures just running away. They're all scared. They're all freaking out. And Strange knows why all of these creatures are freaking out. Because of Galactus. And so when he goes deeper into this realm, he does find Galactus. And Galactus has already begun the process of feeding off magical stuff in the magical realm. And again, this could lead to more problems down the road for Doctor Strange and other characters in the main Marvel universe. And so when we jump into the second chapter of this storyline, we actually pick up with Doctor Strange trying to convince Galactus not to go around this place and beginning the process of eating different things in this realm. Because you have Strange telling Galactus that if he goes around eating magical things, it could basically be poison to Galactus. And so Galactus needs to stay right here until Doctor Strange is able to actually find a way home for Galactus. Now, you do have Galactus kind of ask Doctor Strange, was it him who had teleported Galactus into this magical realm? And of course, you do have Strange tell Galactus, no, it wasn't me. It was another fool. But my goal right now is to get you back home. Now, here comes the problem, though. Galactus hungers, and with them hunger, he has to eat something very soon. And so you actually have Galactus tell Doctor Strange, listen, man, I can't stay here. And matter of fact, I can tell there is food nearby. I don't care, it's magical. It could possibly be poison for me. I have to eat. And so with that being said, you have Galactus just turn around and blast Doctor Strange away to continue his process of finding something to eat. Now, of course, the area that Galactus goes to apparently belongs to a certain character, and that character is Masan Ha-Gorath. I really hope I pronounced that correctly. Now, when it comes to Masan Ha-Gorath, he's supposed to be a very powerful character. And for Doctor Strange, he feels like that Masan Ha-Gorath should be able to go toe-to-toe with Galactus and actually put Galactus in his place. But here comes the big surprise. See, Galactus is just so powerful. No matter what realm he's in right now, he is able to do some damage. And of course, he does take out Masan Ha-Gorath like it was nothing. And of course, that right there scares Doctor Strange even more. Now, of course, right after Galactus was able to get rid of Masan Ha-Gorath, you have Galactus actually find a planet in this magical realm. And with Galactus finding that planet, of course, that means Galactus wants to eat it because he hungers for food. And so with that, you have Galactus actually begin the process of moving closer to that planet. Now, you do have Doctor Strange actually step in, and he does use all of his magic as a way to kind of hold on to Galactus, to stop Galactus. Now, this is a very hard thing to do because how powerful Galactus is. And so with that being said, Doctor Strange knows that sooner or later he is going to lose control over Galactus. And so he realized that he must teleport Galactus somewhere else. And so you have Doctor Strange use even more magic than he has to actually teleport Galactus to a safe zone in the magical realm as a way to keep Galactus busy for a short period of time. But here comes the thing though. Doctor Strange realized that he was actually helped by somebody to teleport Galactus, and he wonders who in the world had actually helped him. And of course, it is his ex-wife Clea. Clea appears at the right time to help out her ex-husband to get rid of Galactus for a short period of time. Now, when it comes to Clea is one of those characters that has a lot of baggage. And honestly, I could sit down and basically talk about this character for the next 10-15 minutes and make this video even longer. But honestly, I don't want to do that. The only thing you need to know about Clea is that she is the ex-wife of Doctor Strange. But on top of that, she is the Sorcerer of Supreme of the Dark Dimension. And that is it. But right now, you actually have her telling her ex-husband that he needs to rest because he has used a lot of magic. Now, of course, you do have Doctor Strange kind of like, no, I don't need to rest. I'll be okay. But that is the moment you actually have Clea show Doctor Strange that she was able to take one of his many artifacts so easily that he did not even notice. And with him not noticing, he realized that yes, he is exhausted, and of course, he does pass out. Now, when Doctor Strange wakes back up, he is confronted by Clea. Now, you do have Clea tell Doctor Strange that he has been asleep for an entire day. Now, luckily for Doctor Strange, Galactus has been in the same position that Doctor Strange has left him in. And so with that being said, you do have Clea tell Doctor Strange they need to find a way to actually get rid of Galactus before he does more damage to the magical realm. Now, that is the moment you have Clea tell Doctor Strange that she actually did call in some backup, and that backup is Umar. Now, Umar is actually the mother of Clea, but also the twin sister of Dormammu. Yes, you heard that right. She is the twin sister of Dormammu, the character we just saw in our last Doctor Strange video. Now, with that being said, though, you have Umar actually tell Doctor Strange that right before he had arrived in the magical realm, had a hard time saying that right there, sorry. But right before Doctor Strange had appeared in the magical realm, you actually have Umar tell Strange that they were working on a major peace treaty between all the different groups in the magical realm. It was supposed to be the biggest peace treaty of all time in this magical realm. And so with that being said, you have Umar actually tell Strange if he and Clea are able to hold off Galactus long enough for Umar to actually finish this peace treaty, then they'll have an army to actually fight against Galactus and to hopefully defeat him and to hopefully send him back into his own dimension. And so with that being said, you actually have Strange agreeing to work with Clea and also work with Umar. And so you have Clea and Strange leave to go fight against Galactus while you have Umar trying to finish that peace treaty so that they can have an army to fight against Galactus with. Now, when you have Strange and Clea being able to confront Galactus, you do have Galactus demand Strange and Clea go out there and actually find something for him to eat. Because when it comes to Galactus, his hunger is getting worse to the point this man is about to go insane. And so you have Strange explain things to Galactus one more time, that Galactus cannot go around eating magical things because one, it's actually making his hunger even worse, and two, it could possibly poison him. And so with that being said, you have Strange actually make a deal with Galactus. And what he says is that if Galactus can stay right here with Clea, Doctor Strange will go around the magical realm and find something for Galactus to eat, something that can actually satisfy his hunger. And of course, you do have Galactus accept this offer. Now, you do have Strange tell Clea that, listen, if I fail at my job, if I fail to actually satisfy his hunger, you need to make sure that your peace treaty between all the different groups in this realm actually go through, because you will need an army to actually stop Galactus. And then you have Strange leave to complete his new mission, to find something for Galactus to eat. Now, this is the moment things get even worse. And the reason why I say that is because we actually pick up with Masan once again. Now, remember, Masan was the character that actually tried to fight against Galactus but lost. But with that being said, you actually have Masan go and find Dormammu. And the reason why, because when it comes to Masan, most of his powers actually comes from Dormammu. And so with that being said, you have Masan telling Dormammu what happened to him, that Galactus had basically beat this man down. But this is also Masan warning Dormammu how powerful Galactus is, that sooner or later Dormammu will have to face Galactus and could possibly lose that battle. But of course, for Dormammu, he's not worried at all. But getting back over to Doctor Strange, we actually see him right now trying his best to complete the deal that he made with Galactus, hoping to find something for Galactus to eat. Now, when it comes to Doctor Strange, his main goal is to find some kind of planet or some kind of territory that has no life in those areas at all, so that when Galactus eats a planet or destroys an entire territory, as long as there's no life in those areas, then that means no innocent people would die. And so that is Doctor Strange's goal. But the problem is, though, every single planet he goes to, there's some life there. Every single territory he goes to, there is some life there. And so with that, Doctor Strange is trying his best, not killing off innocent people as a way to feed the hunger of Galactus. But right now it seems like he may have to sacrifice a group of people to satisfy the hunger of Galactus for the time being. And so when we jump into the third chapter of the storyline, we actually do pick up with Doctor Strange continuing his search for a planet that has no life, but at the same time, a planet that could actually satisfy the hunger of Galactus. Now, with this search, Doctor Strange has to go to a lot of different places and, of course, ask a lot of different people to hopefully find some kind of power source that can actually satisfy the hunger of Galactus. And that is the moment Doctor Strange luck finally pays out, because that is the moment he actually meets a random creature who is able to tell him about a world that has no living person on there. But of course, it does produce a lot of magical energy that could possibly satisfy the hunger of Galactus. And so, of course, you do have Doctor Strange go check out that planet, and he does realize, yes, this could actually work. And so now his next goal is for him and Clea to grab Galactus and bring him over here. But of course, while you have Doctor Strange on his way back over to Galactus and Clea, you have Galactus tell Clea that right now his hunger is getting worse, meaning that sooner or later he better be fed, because if he's not fed soon, he will continue his goal to wreak havoc across this realm looking for something to eat. And of course, it could lead to more problems down the road. Now, we do get a page that reminds us that right now you have Yumar trying her best to unite all the different powerful creatures across the magical realm to work together to fight against Galactus. But of course, you always have that one bad apple who believes that he's just unstoppable. And of course, that character is Nightmare. And so with the character of Nightmare, he believes that with Galactus being in the magical realm, wreaking havoc and causing nightmares for people, that basically will boost his powers up. And so Nightmare believes that he should be able to actually go toe-to-toe with Galactus. And so he ignores what Yumar says and leaves to actually try to fight against Galactus on his own. But getting back over to Doctor Strange, Clea, and also Galactus, we do see them begin the adventure of actually heading over to that planet that Doctor Strange found for Galactus to hopefully satisfy his hunger. Now, on the way there, you do have Doctor Strange tell us that they did run into a bunch of different creatures that were trying to do different things to Galactus. So, like, for example, you have one creature actually try to ask Galactus to surrender surrender. You had other creatures actually try to turn Galactus against Doctor Strange and Clea. And you actually had other creatures try to fight against Galactus. And so, of course, with all these different things going on all at once on their way there to that planet that Doctor Strange had found to hopefully satisfy the hunger of Galactus, they have basically ran into a lot of different problems that made this trip very difficult. But either way, they kept pushing, but it's Doctor Strange hoping that Umar will be able to come through with her part of the plan. Now, we see Umar has basically moved on from asking the weaker people in the magical realm, and she begins the process of actually asking more powerful characters in the magical realm, hoping that if she's able to recruit them, then the weaker ones will also fall in line, and then they can have that army to stop Galactus if they need an army to stop Galactus. But the problem is, though, even the more powerful characters in the magical realm do not want to work with Umar at all. And so right now, that army she is trying to build, it's not coming. And of course, that could be a huge problem for Doctor Strange and Galactus down the road. Now, Umar's evil brother, Dormammu, is watching her doing all of this and watching her fail. And honestly, he does like the idea of her going around asking for help, but he tells us that the people she's going to are the wrong ones to ask. She needs to ask a more specific person who would actually help her fight against Galactus. And so you have Dormammu actually leave to go find this person that he believes that could actually help him fight against Galactus. Now, we do see Doctor Strange, Clea, and Galactus actually arrive at the location of that planet that Doctor Strange is hoping that could possibly satisfy the hunger of Galactus. Now, you do have Strange tell Galactus to take it slow because, again, they have no idea what could possibly happen to Galactus when he is consuming a lot of different magical things. But of course, Galactus does not listen, and he begins the process of actually consuming this random world. Now, when he does it, that is the moment you have Doctor Strange realize something is wrong. Because originally, when Doctor Strange had identified the energy of this world, it was supposed to be just pure good magic for Galactus to absorb. But someone had changed it. Someone had changed the energy of this planet, and they knew if they did that, it could possibly affect Galactus, which it is right now. It's changing Galactus into a new form, something even stronger. And with that being said, you have Doctor Strange tell Clea she needs to leave. She needs to leave and go find Umar right now to see what in the world is going on. Because Umar is supposed to bring out an army of people to fight against Galactus. She's supposed to bring peace between all the different powerful creatures in the magical realm. And so it's Strange telling Clea, you need to find Umar right now and figure out what in the world is going on. Because somebody that she may have talked to have basically changed the energy of this planet to change Galactus into something even stronger. And with that being said, you have Clea leave. But right after she leaves, that is the moment you have Galactus change forms into this cool, more bigger form. And you have Galactus say, he loves the energy that he had just absorbed. And honestly, he has a new herald. And that new herald is Dormammu. And matter of fact, we do jump over to Umar. And right now, you have Umar talking to Mephisto. And this makes sense because Mephisto is a very powerful character. You will want him on your side when it comes to fighting against Galactus. The problem is, though, when Umar goes to Mephisto, you have Mephisto tell Umar that he had already made a deal with Dormammu. And you have Umar basically freak out like, wait, what do you mean that you had went ahead and made a deal with my brother? And that's the moment you have Clea appear because she was looking for Umar. And then you have Mephisto actually capture both of them. And that is the moment you have Mephisto tell Clea and Umar why he's doing this for. Because every single area that Galactus does destroy in the magical realm, there will be lost souls, and those lost souls will come over to Mephisto, and of course it will make his kingdom even more powerful. And so that is why he's not going to help Umar nor Clea with this Galactus problem. But getting back over to Doctor Strange, we actually do see him right now trying to convince Galactus that what Galactus is consuming is not good, it's bad. Galactus needs to stop. But of course, Galactus loves this new energy that he was given. And so, of course, he ignores Doctor Strange and actually sends Strange away. Now, while Strange is flying away, that is the moment he is confronted by that random creature earlier that had actually led Doctor Strange over to that world and told Doctor Strange that, hey, this world has no life at all, and it could actually satisfy Galactus. That creature was actually working for Dormammu, and that is the moment you have Dormammu appear to tell Doctor Strange that it was him who had changed the energy of that planet to basically change Galactus into a more powerful being. Now, when we get into the 4th chapter of the book, we actually do pick up right now with Mephisto telling us, the readers, that even though Dormammu believes that with him and Mephisto making the deal, Dormammu still believes that he is the one in charge over Mephisto. But in reality, Mephisto is the one in charge. That with the deal that they have made, Mephisto has other plans in mind that Dormammu has no idea about. But again, Dormammu believes that he's the one in charge when it comes to him and Mephisto. But getting back over to Doctor Strange and Dormammu, you do have Dormammu tell us as the readers, but also telling Doctor Strange why in the world he changed the power source of that planet that Galactus had consumed. Because Dormammu knew that with Galactus consuming that planet, it would unlock a new form for Galactus, a more powerful form. And what Dormammu wants to do is make Galactus wreak havoc across the magical realm. But once that is done right there, then he is going to take Galactus over to Earth and begin the process of wreaking havoc on Earth as well. It's just Dormammu trying to use Galactus to give him more power across the magical realm and also on Earth as well. Now, with that being said, Dormammu actually believes that Galactus is under his control. And matter of fact, this is Dormammu beginning the process of trying to give a command over to Galactus. But then you see Dormammu actually go over to Galactus and try his best to give Galactus some kind of command, trying to tell Galactus, hey man, I'm your new master and you are going to listen to me. Now, of course, you have Galactus look at Dormammu like, you really think that you can control me? Oh, you really think that you can actually control me? And so then you have Galactus just consume Dormammu. Just like that. Dormammu is no longer around. And so basically, thanks to Dormammu, things have just gotten worse. They were already bad when Dormammu basically changed Galactus into this new form. But now things have gotten even worse thanks to Dormammu being consumed by Galactus. And so now you have Doctor Strange realize he needs to go somewhere else to hopefully find a way to actually stop Galactus. Now you do have Doctor Strange actually teleport over to Mephisto, and that is the moment you have Doctor Strange find out that Mephisto is holding on to Clea and Umar. Now with Mephisto doing that, you do have Doctor Strange basically beg Mephisto to let them go. But when it comes to Mephisto, he will not do anything unless you actually make a deal with him. And so with that being said, you actually have Doctor Strange make a deal with Mephisto. And the deal is that if Mephisto does let go of Clea and Umar, then Mephisto can ask Doctor Strange to do anything for him. Just one thing, but that one thing could be anything Mephisto wants Doctor Strange to do. And of course, you do have Doctor Strange agree to the deal to let Clea and Umar go. But then we see Doctor Strange, Clea, and Umar being able to teleport over to a safe spot from Galactus. But that is the moment you have Umar tell us, the readers, but also Doctor Strange and Clea, that with Galactus being in that new form, that could mean that the people that Umar was trying to recruit earlier could have their minds change and could actually now work with her to fight against Galactus, because now Galactus is just so much more powerful than he was earlier. And so now it's Umar and Clea's goal to go back out there and try once again to recruit the same people they were trying to recruit earlier in this storyline, while you have Doctor Strange do his own thing as well to hopefully finally find a way to stop Galactus. But that is the moment we actually jump back over to Galactus, and this actually makes things a whole lot worse. And what I mean is that with Galactus getting more and more powerful, and with Galactus being a creature of science, but now being fused with magic, now science and magic are falling apart, both in the magical realm and also in the mortal realm. Of course, the realm Earth belongs to. And so with that, you have science and magic combining together. And so, for example, there is a soldier with a gun in his hand, but his gun begins to turn into something magical and shoot out fairies instead. And so with that, again, it's science and magic combining together, which could possibly end the entire universe. And so right now, our heroes have to hurry before the end of the universe could possibly happen. Now, we actually do pick up with Clea, and we see her right now being able to recruit the same powerful characters that had denied Umar earlier. But with Dormammu being taken out by Galactus, of course, now these powerful characters are down to help Clea fight against Galactus. But you have Clea tell these powerful characters, you need to go out there and find other powerful characters who could possibly help us to stop Galactus, because we need all hands on deck. Because with Galactus absorbing Dormammu, Galactus is even more powerful than he was just a moment ago, and he keeps getting more powerful by the second. And so of course they need all hands on deck. But that is the moment we actually have Doctor Strange go over to Eternity and the Living Tribunal. Now, these characters right here, they are two of the most powerful characters in the Marvel Universe. But basically, this is Doctor Strange begging for their help, begging for them to step in to actually stop Galactus. And he is trying to plead his case by saying that with Galactus being here, magic and science are being combined into one. It could possibly end all life across the entire universe. But when it comes to these two characters, they honestly don't see that happening. They actually do believe that there will be life after Galactus has consumed both magic and also science, or there will be life no matter what happens with Galactus. And so, of course, they do decline to actually help Doctor Strange deal with this problem. And of course, for Doctor Strange, that is a huge problem, because Galactus is so powerful that he was hoping to get something more powerful than Galactus to actually help him defeat Galactus. But that is the moment we actually see Doctor Strange think outside the box. And what I mean is that you have Doctor Strange realize that if he wants to actually stop Galactus, he needs to bring in more help. And so he goes back to Earth. Now, usually you would think that Doctor Strange would basically only ask other sorcerers from Earth to help out with this problem. But he doesn't. At first, it does look like that, but he did not just stop right there. He asked some people from the Shi'ar Empire, the Skrulls, the Kree, and other heroes from the Marvel Universe. It's him basically bringing all hands on deck from Earth and other planets nearby Earth to actually stop Galactus, because they need to before all the science and magic is wiped out. But getting into the 5th chapter of the book, we actually do pick up with Clea Umar and an army of different magical creatures trying to fight against Galactus. Now, of course, this fight is not going to go well for them. But of course, they don't have a choice. They have to continue to fight against Galactus, hoping that sooner or later they will be able to actually defeat him. And so right now you have these magical creatures just throwing everything at Galactus, just hoping for a win. But that is the moment you do have another powerful character taken out by Galactus. And so with that happening, you have all these magical creatures like, that's it. We lost. There is no way that we can actually stop Galactus now. He's just too powerful. Now, of course, Clea's kind of like, no, we have to keep fighting because Doctor Strange will be back with more help. We have to keep fighting. And so that is the moment you have Doctor Strange appear with all the Earth heroes that he was able to recruit. And of course, you have them all fight against Galactus. It's them hoping that they'll be able to actually stop Galactus. But here comes the big problem though. Galactus has been getting stronger ever since Doctor Strange has stepped away to go to Earth to recruit the heroes. Because Galactus has just been going around consuming different things left and right and just getting more powerful by the second. And so with the heroes trying their best to fight against Galactus, Galactus was able to beat almost every single hero that Doctor Strange had brought here. At first, Doctor Strange threw the most powerful characters at Galactus, and they all failed just like that. But here comes the shocking moment, because this is the moment we kind of learn what Doctor Strange is trying to do. Because right when you have Gladiator, the leader of the Shi'ar Empire, try to fight against Galactus and lose, that is when we learn what Doctor Strange is trying to do. And matter of fact, with the death of Gladiator, you actually have Mephisto realize that Doctor Strange is up to something. But the big question is right now, what is Doctor Strange actually up to? Because now it even has Mephisto very intrigued. And that is the moment you have Doctor Strange tell us that his master plan is to basically continue to feed Galactus. Yes, that does mean sacrificing the heroes of Earth. Yes, it does mean sacrificing the magical creatures that protect the magical realm. But no matter what, Doctor Strange must do this. He must sacrifice all these different people to basically continue to feed Galactus until Galactus is actually full. And when Galactus is actually full, that is the moment Doctor Strange will use a magical artifact to bust open Galactus. And when Doctor Strange does that, he's hoping that when he busts open Galactus, it will restore everything Galactus had consumed. That means the people he has consumed, the realities that he has consumed. It should bring everything back to normal. And so when all these heroes from Earth, all these magical creatures from the magical realm are consumed by Galactus, and when he's actually full, you do have Doctor Strange use that magical artifact to bust open Galactus, hoping to restore everything Galactus had consumed. Except with this plan that Doctor Strange had made, it basically led into the death of all realities in this universe. Right now, Doctor Strange basically sits in the white void. And so when we jump into the 6th chapter of this storyline, we actually do pick up with Eternity right now confronting Doctor Strange. Now this is huge because you have Eternity telling Doctor Strange that right now the entire universe has collapsed. Everything is gone. Nothing has survived at all after Doctor Strange had basically blew up Galactus. And of course, that right there is very huge to say. But then that is the moment you have Doctor Strange tell the Eternity that this is all Mephisto's fault. And the reason why he's saying it is Mephisto's fault is because right before the Eternity had arrived to have that conversation with Doctor Strange, Mephisto actually appeared. And Mephisto was very upset because he wanted Galactus to just go around and wreak havoc across all realms in the Marvel Universe, because all those lost souls would then go over to Mephisto's realm to make his realm more powerful. But with the universe being collapsed, that means there's no souls actually going over to Mephisto's realm. And so Mephisto basically made another deal with Doctor Strange. If Doctor Strange is able to use his surgeon abilities to kind of fix the universe, then Mephisto will give Strange the ability to actually do that. But that is the moment we actually do jump back over to Doctor Strange having a conversation with Eternity, because that's also the moment you actually have the Living Tribunal appear. Now this is huge because the Living Tribunal is actually thinking about giving powers over to Doctor Strange. But here is the big catch though. The power he's going to give over to Doctor Strange is going to give Doctor Strange the ability to actually recreate this universe. But of course, you do have the Living Tribunal asking Doctor Strange one important question. Can Doctor Strange be trusted? Because with this kind of power, with Doctor Strange being able to recreate the universe, he could possibly put himself in a god position. And of course, you have Doctor Strange say, no, I'm not going to do that. My only goal is to bring everything back like it was before Galactus had blew up and wiped out the universe. That is my goal, to bring everything back to normal. And of course, everything that happened right before Galactus was teleported over into the magical realm. And so you do have the Living Tribunal actually give the power over to Doctor Strange, and he was able to restore the universe like it was before Galactus was teleported into the magical realm. Now, of course, with everything going back to normal, we actually do pick up with Doctor Strange talking to Zolos, because remember, we're now picking up right at the point before Galactus was teleported into the magical realm. But on top of that, Zolos was the guy who had teleported Galactus into that magical realm. And so with that, Doctor Strange is telling Zolos, listen, the plan you had originally, it led to the collapse of the universe, but I was able to fix it. But here's an idea for you. If you want to save your home world so bad, here's an idea. Do not try to teleport Galactus away. Instead, do what my friend the Silver Surfer did, which was that the Silver Surfer, to save his home world, he became the herald of Galactus. And so basically, it's Doctor Strange telling Zolos, if you want to save your home world, just become the herald for Galactus and he will leave your home world alone. And of course, you have Zolos agree, and Galactus did leave Zolos' home world alone. But that is the moment we actually jump back over to Doctor Strange being teleported away by Mephisto over to Mephisto. And the reason why, because remember, Mephisto and Doctor Strange, they made a deal, and that deal is very important. And the reason why, because remember, in that deal, Mephisto told Doctor Strange that he will basically let Umar and Clea go, but to let them go, Doctor Strange must do one thing for Mephisto down the road. Now that one thing can be anything at all, but Doctor Strange must do that one thing for Mephisto. And so this is Mephisto right now telling Doctor Strange, hey man, listen, do not forget about our deal. I'm calling it in right now. You must do something for me. And let's not forget, you cannot tell me no. Whatever I ask you to do, you must do it. And so that is the moment we come to find out what Mephisto wanted Doctor Strange to do, which is basically use a magical spell right on Clea to make her forget about Doctor Strange. And this is huge because Mephisto knows that when it comes to Doctor Strange and Clea, Doctor Strange still loves her and Clea still loves him. And so he knows that with that love being removed, it is going to torture the soul of Doctor Strange, especially when Doctor Strange does ask Clea one simple question before he does a magical spell on her. He asks her, does she still love him? She says yes. And matter of fact, he asks her another question. Does she see a future where they can try it one more time being together? And she says, yes, I love you. And that is the moment you have Doctor Strange use his magical spell on her to make her forget about him, to torture his soul, because now the one woman that he knew that still loved him, that he still loved her, is no longer going to love him. And of course, this continues the idea that Doctor Strange can never find a true love. And so with that being said, this is where we are going to end today's comic book video. So please leave me a like down below and subscribe. Also, if you have any suggestions on books I should read, well, please let me know in the comments below, because you never know, your suggestion could be a future video down the road. But guys, I'll see y'all next time. Later.